My mother-in-law dotes on my son but wants to act like I don't exist, so now I'm making sure my child grows up in a world where she doesn't exist either. Posted by you/shoes full of water. I seriously need some advice on how to approach this situation. Long story short, probably not. My husband and I got married quickly and had a baby not long after. I have absolutely no regrets. I love my husband and adore our baby. I have such a wonderful life with them. The problem is my mother-in-law. She 100% has bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, or something similar, but she won't seek treatment. Everyone in the family knows something is wrong, but they tiptoe around the issue because she's a ticking time bomb 90% of the time. She disapproved of me from the start, and I don't know why. I like to think I'm nice, people have told me I'm funny, my husband has always adored me, and I did my best to be polite. My husband says she's never liked any of his girlfriends, it's some complex she has about her precious little boy, where no one is ever good enough for him. But he said he didn't care what she thinks because he knows I'm perfect for him, so sweet. She surprised us by showing up to our elopement. We both invited our parents and my sister last minute, and everyone except my mother-in-law was thrilled. She was quiet and scowled the whole time. I didn't let it get me down, though, and I had the most wonderful day. She's a NICU nurse and travels for work since we live in a rural area, so she, thankfully, wasn't around a lot. Whenever she would visit, I would try to extend an olive branch and see if she'd like to hang out and maybe try to connect. I grew up with my grandmother, my mom's mother-in-law, living with us, and she and my mom had such a wonderful relationship. I thought that if I got to know my mother-in-law, maybe we could have that too. Nope, half the time, she had some excuse about being tired, and the other half, she wouldn't even respond. She actually got into the habit of not telling us when she was in town. I brushed it off, I can't force her to be my friend. I know it makes my husband sad that we aren't close, but I can't help that the woman doesn't want me around. I mean, in the 2 years my husband and I have been together, I've seen my mother-in-law 5 times. The big issues started when I got pregnant. My husband and I had been trying, and we were over the moon at the news. We were both so excited and ready to be parents. My parents were overjoyed and have been so supportive and loving the whole way. When we told my mother-in-law, she was awful. We prefaced the visit by telling them we had news to share. She postponed us coming over twice, and when we actually arrived, she was still in her pajamas with unbrushed hair, a minor detail that just ticks me off in hindsight. When we shared the news, she said, "I was dreading that this is what you'd say." Then she proceeded to rant about how we were too young, we're in our 20s and both have good, stable jobs, how we wouldn't enjoy it, and how we wouldn't make it as parents. I was mortified. She looked at me and flat out told me she wished I wasn't pregnant. My husband and I quickly made an excuse to leave. We were both crushed, but we were determined not to let it get to us and to focus on our new, growing family. My father-in-law, who I won't talk about much but is a total doormat, texted my husband a half-baked apology, saying his mom needed time. After about a month, she sent me a long-winded text that was less of an apology and more of an excuse. She brushed over her cruel words and said she was simply blindsided by the news and now is so excited to be a grandmother. I didn't respond. The next interaction came on the 4th of July. We told them I was pregnant in April. I was several months along and was so hungry all the time, but the smell of cooking meat would make me so sick, it was awful. Also, I have celiac disease, so I'm used to bringing my own alternatives to people's houses to accommodate my food restriction. My in-laws, my sister-in-law, who lives in Arizona, many hours away from us, and a couple of my sister-in-law's friends were in town for the 4th. My parents invited us to their house, and we happily accepted. My in-laws never reached out about plans. My husband texted them the day before to see what they were doing, and my father-in-law said they were having a barbecue and wanted us to come. My husband asked what food would be served. With my dietary restriction, the only thing I could eat would be a plain hamburger patty, but I was worried it would make me sick during pregnancy. My husband, I didn't ask him to do this, he was just in protective of my pregnant wife mode, asked if there was anything I could eat. My mother-in-law responded by saying she hadn't really thought about me and was more concerned with catering to my sister-in-law's friends. My husband asked if we should bring food for me, and they said no, that the barbecue was supposed to be a special thing and they had some chips I could snack on. Keep in mind, I'm 4 months pregnant at this point, and my choice was a whole meal that my parents made that I could eat or chips. I texted my mother-in-law and politely declined the invitation, telling her that in the future, if she wanted me to attend events centered around food, she should either provide something I could eat or give me some notice so I could bring my own. She lost it. She didn't respond to my message, which my husband agreed was appropriate and polite, but texted my husband nonstop about how cruel and cold I was and how I had ruined her holiday. I texted her, saying that if she was upset with me, she should talk to me, not my husband. Furthermore, I told her she had established the precedent that we weren't friends and that I didn't want to be her friend, but I did want her to be nice to me. I even said that if she wanted a relationship with my child, she needed to behave. Was this blunt? Yes, but I didn't curse or say anything derogatory. I said what she needed to hear because no one else in the family would check her behavior. She never responded, and to this day, I don't recall her ever texting me again. She eventually made a group chat with my husband and me, but she would only talk to him, specifically addressing him in messages. I didn't speak to her for months. She never checked on me during my pregnancy, not even once. She would feign interest by texting my husband about how I was doing, but I found that very performative. If she genuinely cared, she could have texted me once in 9 months. My baby was born big and healthy in December. He's the light of my life. By this time, my mother-in-law and father-in-law had moved to Arizona because the warmer weather agreed with her more. And the distance? It agrees with me. She says she wants to visit, but I don't want her to. What should I do? I feel moments away from losing it but don't want to start a fight for my husband's sake. Edit. I completely forgot about something. We live in a small town, so it's not unheard of to run into literally everyone you know in public. When my in-laws were still living in town, I would see them every so often with my husband. My mother-in-law was always so sweet when my husband was around. But one time, I saw her at the grocery store by myself. I smiled and waved and started turning my cart to go say hello, and she glared at me and stormed away. I couldn't believe it. My husband and I were already married at this point, and this was after masking restrictions were lifted, so she knew it was me. Update 1 month later. Hello all, I want to thank everyone for their love on my last post. It helped ease my mind a bit to know that I'm not totally crazy and that my mother-in-law's behavior isn't okay. After my post, I thought about everything you all said and talked to my husband. Family is very important to him, and he definitely had some pushback on the idea of our son not being allowed to see his family. We went back and forth about it, and I finally told him I was fed up with him not defending me in the face of obvious disrespect. After a long while, I finally think I got through to him, and he agreed to speak to his parents. I'm on the fence about whether I should be a part of the conversation. Here's my thinking: if I'm not there, my mother-in-law has the opportunity to twist my words and worm her way back into my husband's head. When we first got married, my husband often sided with his parents, saying that I didn't do enough to form a relationship with them and that I just need to forgive my mother-in-law and let it all go. It was awful, and I hope it doesn't start up again because it was hard feeling like my husband wasn't on my side. If I am part of the conversation, I worry I will totally lose it on my mother-in-law and nothing productive will happen. Like I mentioned in my last post, I have never spoken a cross word to this woman, even when she told me she wished my son didn't exist. I have bitten my tongue and played nice for years now, and I'm so sick of it. Apparently, she has been putting on the waterworks for my father-in-law, and I worry she will cause a scene to try and get everyone on her side. I just won't stand for that. I know I can be civil, but it would be the ultimate test of my patience. In better news, though, the FaceTime calls have ceased, and my husband is no longer sending pictures and updates of our son to her. He does send them to his sister, the sister-in-law mentioned in the last post, and I don't mind that. She is a total sweetheart, and I really adore her. I don't know if she shows anything to my mother-in-law. I don't even know how much she sees my mother-in-law, honestly. They had a terrible relationship growing up, with my sister-in-law being the scapegoat for my mother-in-law's abuse and my husband being the golden child. She has also said that my mother-in-law and father-in-law fight so often now that they are almost impossible to be around for any length of time, which also doesn't sit well with me. I grew up with a younger sibling who suffered from severe emotional delays, leading to hours of screaming, crying, and violence every day. I'm sure my mother-in-law and father-in-law's fighting isn't so extreme, but it's important to me that my son not be exposed to loud, aggressive behavior when possible. In slightly worse news, my husband is upset again about our son not being allowed to see my mother-in-law until we, or just my husband, talk to her. He started throwing around concerns about grandparents' rights, which he doesn't fully understand. Grandparents' rights are typically only invoked in custody battles, which my husband and I don't have, as we are married. Also, they don't apply to children under the age of 2. Our son is 6 months old, and require an established relationship. My mother-in-law has seen my son once when he was a newborn. Even if, a strong if, any of them try to take me to court over this, they will lose. My mother-in-law has a history of abuse, alcoholism, and mistreating me. The relationship with the parents is considered in grandparents' rights cases, aside from the fact that my son is an infant who doesn't know this woman and wouldn't care either way if he didn't see her. For now, at least, the only thing he cares about is milk and chewing on things while he's teething. We got into a bit of an argument last night, where he said he had decided that he wouldn't be keeping his son from his parents. I stood firm on what I was comfortable with. My mother-in-law is not allowed to see my son until my husband talks to her, and she is only allowed supervised visits after that. I spoke with my husband over text this morning. He works 5 to 2, and I work 8 to 5, and let him know that I hope he will stick with our original plan of talking to his mom. I also reminded him that we need to be a team on this, like in all things. I reiterated that we are in this situation because of her and her behavior, not because of anything I did. Another issue is that my husband wants his parents to babysit since my mother-in-law is coming to visit sometime in July, and I'm just not comfortable with it. My mother-in-law has a sordid history of not listening to me. I just don't trust leaving my son with her because I have no way of knowing if she will respect what I ask her to do for him. Furthermore, my son has special needs and is teething. Poor thing is just beside himself most days right now. I have only ever seen my mother-in-law a few times in person. I wouldn't leave my son with an unstable alcoholic whom I had only met a handful of times, especially one who disrespects me. I guess I'm just looking for a bit of reassurance that I'm doing the right thing. I hate rocking the boat, so to speak, and I just want to move past all this. I hate conflict. I just want to figure out if she is in or out of our lives and be done with it. Second update 2 hours later. Thank you for all the replies so far, they're fanning the flames of my righteous fury. Though, I will remain civil. Below is a text I sent my husband. I had too much on my mind to wait until after work. I will update in the comments again when he replies. Our son's name has been replaced with baby. Text to my husband, I've been thinking a lot about the situation with your mom. I keep thinking about how I don't want to cause problems, but I realize that I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't done anything to her. I've never been anything but nice to her. The bottom line is that we had an agreement. Your mother is not allowed to act however she wants toward me. She disrespected me and treated me like an incubator for her grandchild, whom she has no relationship with. And she will not have a relationship with him until she begins to behave differently. Your parents will not be babysitting baby yet. When he was born, you didn't feel comfortable with my parents babysitting until we had seen them around baby for a while, and the same will stand true for your parents. We can consider letting them keep baby after they've had time to get to know him and we see how they interact with him. He's more aware than ever now, and especially with his teething, it's not a good idea to leave him in a strange environment with people he doesn't know. Baby isn't allowed to be with anyone we're not both on board with. If I came to you and said, hey, I'm going to leave baby with an unstable alcoholic you've only met a few times, and there's nothing you can say or do about it, you would flip out, understandably so. You can't do that to me. We are supposed to be a united front in our decisions with baby. It's completely unfair for you to flip-flop on me like this. 1 minute you're the supportive husband who has sympathy for my position and wants to put our family first, and the next minute I'm a witch who is incapable of forgiveness and the whole situation is my fault. You need to pick a side. It's either me and baby or your mother. I'm tired of waiting for you to defend me. I'm your wife, and he is your son. At the end of the day, your mother is the problem, not me. She caused all this, her behavior, her actions. She's an adult, and she made her choices. Now she has to live with the consequences. I've been patient, I've been polite, I've been flexible. I allowed her to see him when he was born, and that didn't change anything. She needs to figure herself out before she's allowed to see our son. Again, thank you, everyone. It feels good to feel less alone on this issue. Mini update 4 hours later. My husband's response can be summed up as this: he thinks the relationship between her and me can be repaired. He didn't say anything about her responsibility in repairing the relationship. Apparently, he never agreed to keeping our son from her, which isn't true. We had a long discussion about it and both agreed it would be best to have some distance between her and our son until we had a chance to speak with her. My solution of keeping our son from her forever, which isn't true, I told him that if she turns her behavior around, she can see him as long as we're around, is no solution to the problem. Again, he's glossing over everything. He agrees that his dad, never mentioned his mom, won't babysit until we have some time to see him with our son and let our son get to know him. The separation anxiety is kicking in for our baby. That's all that was said. I'm hoping we'll have a conversation tonight. Comment update 1 month 2 weeks later. My husband and I had a long talk, and we're in agreement. My mother-in-law is gone. She's completely cut off.